Hey everybody, it's Thursday, it's September 27th. It's a quiet evening at home, so I figured I'd shoot another video. And this time I wanted to talk to you about dating, relationships, and sex. All right, so let's just get into it. So let's pretend you've just left the cult. You're 18, 19 years old or so. And, when we leave, of course, we lose some family members, we lose some friends. And so it's an emotional time for us when we leave. So if you already are in a relationship, I recommend that you let the person know and let them know, these next few weeks or months might, get a little bit dicey for me. I'm going to need your support. Be upfront with them. If you aren't in a relationship, I really recommend you take stock of your emotions and see if you're up to being in a relationship. The reason I say that is because with me, I remember I was so very angry. I was resentful that I lost my family and friends to the cult. I felt like I had wasted 22 years of my life to this cult. So I was very bitter. I was very angry, and I wasn't in an emotional place, in an emotional state of mind to really, be dating anyone. I wasn't going to be emotionally open myself up to them. So it was really a bad time. And so that's what I want you to think about before you start dating anyone. Just make sure internally that you are really up to dating someone. And you will know clear as the nose on your face whether or not you want to be in a relationship at that point, at that time. Another thing that I recommend is sometimes when we leave, we are so desperate to have friends. Again, you just lost family members, you just lost friends to this cult. So, sometimes it makes us socially desperate, and that it makes us clingy. We want, again, we want to have people in our lives. So I just recommend that you please, give yourself time. Be select with anyone you allow into your life. You need to always be selective. You don't want to just let anyone into your life. You want to make sure that they're there to help you, and you're there to help them, and you both are moving together in the same direction. All right. So that's one of the main things that I recommend as far as dating. Take your time. Um, don't rush into anything. As Jehovah's Witnesses, we're told that dating is supposed to lead to marriage. When I was a Jehovah's Witness, they expected you to date for about 6 months or so, and then after that, you need to either be engaged or something. You're not, or call the whole thing off. But you're not supposed to just date indefinitely. Um, when you leave the cult, I recommend getting, all of those beliefs and value and priorities or values that are, the cult has taught us. Let go of it. Let go of it. If dating does not obligate you to anything. I admire Oprah Winfrey and Stedman. You do what feels right. If you date someone and you determine this is someone you want to, get married to, then fine. But it's not written in stone that you must get married. So if you're happy just living together, then and both of you are satisfied with that agreement, then you need to be willing to leave it at that. And there's no obligation for you to marry. All right. So the next thing I want to recommend, and this is I was talking with my best friend Norm over the weekend, and we were discussing this, and so that's why this is another reason what made me think of doing this video. But when she left the cult, right, she immediately got into a relationship with this guy, and he's very controlling, and he's very self-centered. If everything has to go his way, so he's not, so that makes him. It doesn't make him the easiest person to get along with. Um, the crazy thing about it was Norma started dating this guy after she left the cult, and she didn't tell any of us, like her friends, her family. We didn't know about him. And matter of fact, she's dating him. They eloped, they got married, and she stayed living at home. None of us knew that they were dating. Um, and then eventually, the truth came out, and then she went and the two of them, lived together at his home. And then that's when we all found out that they had already gotten married. The funny thing about it was that after she and him started living together, that's when she really began to see his true colors and, how controlling he was. And years later, she's always said, had I just let my family and friends have time to be around him, they could have warned me. They could have warned me about him. They probably would have picked up this part of his personality that he kept hidden from me. And then I wouldn't be in the situation that I'm in now. And so that's one thing I always tell people: try when you're dating someone, and instead of hiding it or keeping the person to yourself, let others be around them. Give your friends and family, whatever family members or whatever people you have in your life, give them a chance to be around this individual. Give them a chance to get to know him, because they may see things in him that you miss, that you haven't picked up on. And so, again, give people a chance to get to know them. If you're a female, be careful that you don't, I mean, no relationship is 50-50 exactly, but you want to try to make sure it's as close to 50-50 as possible. And what I mean by that is, sometimes we start dating a guy and we see things that we don't like, but we bend over, we make allowances for it and put up with things that we really shouldn't put up with. And what I'm asking you to do is not to do that. I'm asking you, please do not feel like you have to bend over backwards. Please do not feel like you have to put up with more than what you should put up with. If the person is not right for you, and this is the same, this goes is equally applicable to males. If the person is not right, you need to either give them a warning or you need to cut them out of your life. But either way, you need to make a decision. Sometimes we get people. I'll give you an example. If you come out of you're in college, you're working full time. Whoever you're dating with should be working with you in harmony to help you get across the finish line of graduating college. So in other words, if I start dating someone, I want him to be cognizant that I'm working hard. I want him to help me out around the house. I want him to help me with errands. I want him to help me maybe with grocery shopping. I want him to be supportive of me. If this person instead is not holding down a job and he's slacking off, he's not cleaning up around the home, he's always down at the corner bar drinking with his friends, then he's not really helping me do anything. Matter of fact, it's probably me that's taking care of him, rather than he and I working together harmoniously. So that's what I'm asking you to examine the relationship. Make sure that you both are working equally as hard to get into going in the same direction. And I'm going to say that again. You want to both be working equally as hard to go in the same direction. All right. You both should have goals. You should both be working hard towards those goals. And if the person is not, you need to reevaluate. Why are you allowing this person in your life? And again, just make sure that you're not being socially desperate. That you're not placing yourself in this relationship simply because you lost so many, of your JW friends and relatives or what have you. The next part of this portion, I'm going to talk about the relationship itself. When I was a Jehovah's Witness, we were told that you date with the purpose of marrying. You shouldn't just be dating a person. And I disagree with that. I think you date anybody you want to. If it ends up in marriage, that's fine. But if it doesn't, that's fine as well. And I give you Oprah Winfrey and Stedman as an example. They've been living together for years, and both seem happy. And so you've got to, whatever the cult has, the values and the beliefs of that cult, that we have to get married, we don't have to do anything. So I don't want you to feel like you have to rush into a relationship and then rush into marriage and rush into the next thing. You take your time. You take your time. You take as much time as you need. And sometimes you might get in the first relationship, it doesn't work out. You give yourself some time. You start looking around for someone else, and you move on to the next person until you find that person who you feel that, this is the person for me. And you need to, again, you can't let desperation make that decision. Your heart needs to be the one that makes that decision. Okay? The next thing I want to talk about is sexual relations. So sometimes Jehovah's Witnesses leave the cult, and everything that the cult has taught us about sex is like it's taboo. You're only supposed to have sex once you're married, and all this other stuff. And some people, they leave the cult and all that's in their mind, it's in their psyche. And so when they get into relationships and dating, intimacy is very difficult for them. Um, what I recommend is to work on it, to intentionally work on it. You want to try to, chase out away all of those teachings. You don't want to cling to any of those teachings from the cult. You want to start off with a clean slate. Talking to a therapist can be very helpful. So again, you want to take it head on and deal with it. But you should not feel guilty for engaging in sexual relations. You shouldn't feel and that's happened where people have gotten into relationships, they have sex, and then they feel guilty afterwards, and which ruins the whole experience, because then you can't really enjoy sex, because every time you engage in it, you feel guilty afterwards. So that's one of the things I really want you to work on. If you're feeling guilty after being intimate with your partner, talk to a therapist about it, and also talk to your partner about it. There's no reason to hide it from them. You can be honest with them about it, and like I said, just work on it. Um, you always want to practice safe sex. Always. That's a hands down no brainer. You always practice safe sex. If you are female, you always want to take control of your reproductive health. That means you don't want to have children until you're ready. There are forms of birth control that are very highly effective. They have patches and things, implants that are placed like right under the skin, and then you don't have to take a birth control pill daily. But again, you should talk to your healthcare provider about that and take charge of your reproductive health. The reason why that's important is because if you, again, let's pretend that you're 18, 19 when you left the cult, and you are going to college full time, you're holding down a full time job. The last thing you want is an unexpected pregnancy, right? So that's why taking charge of your reproductive health is very important. There was an example of this young lady. She was noticing that every time she and her boyfriend would go to have sex, he was the one that always was providing the condoms, and those condoms would always break. They had holes in them. There was always something, as if they had been tampered with. And so one day she asked him, what's the story with these, condoms? What's going on? And he never answered her straightforward. Instead, he answered her, well, wouldn't you like to have my child one day? Wouldn't you like to have a little girl one day? And that was his only answer. And so it kind of explained a lot that he had decided for the two of them that they would be having a child. And again, if you're a young lady, do not let anyone make that decision for you. You do not let any male make that decision for you. You have children only when and if you are ready. All right. So again, there are birth control forms that you can ask your healthcare provider about. You should always have condoms, spare condoms. And again, you don't do anything you do not feel comfortable doing. If you do not feel like having a child at that time, decision made. Do not let anyone force you to have children or anything. Um, the reason why that's important is because sometimes when you have children and you're not ready, keep in mind, when we leave the cult, we lose friends and we lose family members. So imagine now if you have a child and you have no support system and you're trying to hold down a full-time job as well as complete a bachelor's degree, that's a lot of responsibility. You're going to meet a lot of challenges. So that is why it's important not, it's important to take control of your reproductive health, as well as to take control of your life and plan out your life. Okay, I'm gonna complete my bachelor's degree, say by the time I'm 23. I'm gonna, if I'm gonna go for my master's degree, that's gonna be an additional 2 years. Let's say I'll give myself to age 26. You know what I mean? So you plan out your life, and you can say, okay, after I graduate with my master's degree, I'll wait till age 28 to have my first child. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. You could, between that 26 and 28, you can say, listen, I want to save up to buy a home. Whatever. You plan out your life, and in that way, you can have a happy life rather than letting life happen to you chaotically. You're planning it out and scheduling it, and so that's the habit you want to fall into. And again, you don't want to let this thing where the man is dictating to you what your life is going to be. You two are going to sit together and work it out and say, okay, this is what I'd like. Even the number of children that you plan to have, it should be agreed upon. It should be agreed upon. It shouldn't just be this haphazard thing where he tells you, okay, I want you to have 8 kids and that's it. If you both want 8 kids, that's one thing, but it shouldn't be this thing where he dictates to you how many kids he wants you to have. Okay. So, and again, you always want to be practicing safe sex. You want to get HIV testing done regularly. In New York City, they have free HIV testing. So whatever state you're living in, you want to, take advantage of any HIV testing. Again, you got to keep in mind that if you even, all right, I'm trying to figure out a nice way to say this, and there really is not no nice way to say this. So I'm just gonna say it. People are people. So even if we meet someone whom we love and we trust, right? An HIV test is usually given for free. So you should be taking them. You should be taking them. The faster you are diagnosed with HIV, the faster you can start taking those meds and taking care of your health. The reason I say it like that is because sometimes people say, "Oh, I don't need to take an HIV test. He'd never cheat on me." And we can never make that assumption about anyone, whether they're JW or non-JW. We can never make that assumption about anyone. So you should always be getting an HIV test. All right. So this next portion is for the LGBTQ community, right? HIV is rising in your community. It's rising amongst males, and especially between African American males as well as Latinos. So please, 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 please get tested for HIV regularly. Practice safe sex. If you are HIV positive, please, you should be taking your medications, as scheduled. And the HIV medications they have now, it makes it possible so that HIV isn't transferable to your partner. So again, you should be practicing safe sex. If you're HIV positive, please stick to the medication regimen. And again, if you do that, then you won't be able. Then HIV will not be transferred to your partner. Okay. And same thing with everything that I've said before about being selective with whom you allow into your life, and so all of the same rules apply. One thing that a lot of people say about the LGBTQ community is that they're fickle, that they change partners every 5 minutes, that they are not that there's a high level of infidelity in same-sex relationships. And so, sometimes you hear all of these stories about, the gay community and everything. I'm going to tell you something. The gay community is no different than the heterosexual community. Okay? The same amount of infidelity that goes on in gay couples is the same amount of infidelity that goes on in heterosexual couples. So, when people try to demonize or talk bad about the LGBTQ community, I promise you, the heterosexual community is no different, no better, no worse. We're exactly head to head, dead race, tied on on so many aspects. So again, don't feel that your community is in some way, worse than, or you have to exercise more care, or that the people in the LGBT community are in some way more dangerous. It's not. The same amount of risk is in both communities. All right. All right. So that's my video for today. That's my video for today. I can't think of anything else I want to share with you. Again, I'm going to put some information down below in the description area, regarding relationships and the HIV information. But so that's it for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below. Keep in mind we have the PIMO and POMI, POMI groups, the JW, Teen Young Adults group. It's on Facebook. If you'd like to join, there are questions that you need to answer in order to join that group. One of those questions is that you agree to respect the privacy of all the members of that group. And so I don't allow anyone to join that group unless they answer all three questions. All right. So again, I'm going to be putting that information below regarding the Facebook group. If you have any topics that you'd like me to cover, please, again, list those below. I'm also in the XJW Reddit group. I'm on Facebook, and so you can also reach out to me there. All right, so that's the video for today. Have a great week. Enjoy the weekend, and until I talk to you again, be safe. Love you.